Welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. In this hobby, given enough time, you will run across once in a lifetime opportunities when it comes to buying sets or cards or sealed product, and you only have one opportunity and one chance and you need to pull the trigger immediately. But on the opposite end of that spectrum, a very good long-term growth style of collecting in this hobby is slow and steady and really waiting on good deals to come across. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Yeah, that pull the trigger mentality, don't miss a good deal. Yeah, that does have a very big place in this hobby. But if you guys are like me, you have your collection that has gained value over the long term because you just happen to have gotten lucky in a way. Also, you got smart, or maybe it's a combination of everything. But we're seeing the growth in the stuff we've held for a long time. And I think a lot of you guys already know that. But there's so many different opportunities, even still today. As long as you're patient and you do the slow, steady style of investing, you can still be very successful. The first thing that comes to my head as soon as somebody says slow and steady, that's waiting on good auctions to come up on eBay. That's like the first thing that comes to my head. Because in my experience, some of the best deals and the best value I've gotten has been from both auctions and buy it now listings that, were poorly titled. Poorly titled auctions, that's the bread and butter of just, easy collecting, especially when it comes to raw cards. I've said it in plenty of videos by now, and hopefully you guys have been listening. Start to buy raw cards and send your cards away for grading. You really need to get familiar with the process and familiar with the grading skills, because that's going to be the best long-term investment you can do for yourself in this hobby, is really understand grading skills. I know it's happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to a lot of you guys, and I'm sure you've been in the same situation. You see an amazing auction come up for sale. You're waiting on this auction. You got a timer set on your phone. As soon as that last 1 minute starts ticking down, you put in your best offer and it gets beat out. And then you look at your phone or you look at your computer or however you put that last bid in, and you think it's the end of the world. Trust me, I've been there. It's like a crushing defeat. But guess what? After the next auction that the same thing happens to you, you forget about the one before. And given enough time, that stuff will come up all the time. Eventually, yeah, you will miss out on a few good deals, but you can't let the one bad time you missed out on a good deal totally throw you off or turn you off from this hobby, where now you think, I missed one good deal, let me just dwell on that forever. I'm not going to be the person to tell you not to dwell on it. I think you should dwell on it a little bit and at least learn from your mistakes. But if that's going to be enough to push you away from the hobby or push you away from wanting to continue to do this hobby isn't right for you. Because trust me, you're going to run into situations like that, but that's part of being slow and steady, right? The sun rises again tomorrow. You will have another opportunity. I could think of an opportunity as recently as 2 days ago that I missed out on what I consider like a great value. But you know what? Can't lose sleep over it. You just got to keep learning from it and get better. And I got to tell you this too. It doesn't matter how long you're in this hobby for. You will eventually miss out on good deals, and it just is what it is. But don't worry about it. As long as you're landing all the better deals in the long run, you're going to make out super well in this hobby, and especially in the long run. Because at the end of the day, it is a dollar cost average when it comes to this hobby. Only way you're going to really make dollar cost average really work out for you in the long run is if you really understand like the different cards and the different sets. And the reason why you got to do dollar cost average is because the way we're seeing the hobby, it's a slow uptrend, right? So a card that you might have been able to purchase for $100 last year, it's valued at $120 this year. Well, you should have been trying to get it at $80 last year. Maybe this year you're trying to get it at $100. You can't keep looking back at these old prices too much. You have to be cognizant. You have to really be cognizant of what you're buying and make sure what you're buying is a good deal, in fact, and it's something other people will want. Because really, if it's not something other people want, the liquidity of that is going to be very hard for you to actually move it. But at the same time, you also have to have the conversation. Well, what is an undervalued card and how is that different? Undervalued card, I feel like it's within the word itself, right? It's a card that you believe is undervalued, and you believe based off of stuff, right? You believe it's undervalued based off of market conditions, based off of the sets, based off of cards similar, based off of characters, based off of what you've seen in the hobby, trends, stuff like this. You have to take a lot of things into account when you're looking at undervalued cards. The only way you're really going to start to understand like undervalued and understand niches and stuff like that is it's tough, but you got to get out of your comfort zone in this hobby. And yes, I get it. Comfort zone is where you want to be. And for new investors, I would tell you stick there. Stay in your comfort zone. Be in your comfort zone until you really feel confident in, the knowledge you gained in this hobby and your understanding of price trends and understanding of sets and understanding of rarity and understanding of like the actual market and what people really want. You have to understand all these things as a new collector before you start to branch out. But once you do start branching out, things happen much quicker, and you're going to find things happen much easier for you because knowledge in this hobby is way more important than anything else. You talk to people in this hobby who are really successful. And when I say they're successful, I mean they've done really well, with their collections, and they have large collections, and they just, some of it's luck. A little bit of it's luck that they got lucky that the value of their collection has increased a lot. And the only reason I say lucky, and this is going to come with a big asterisk, because a lot of collectors who have large collections always knew what they were doing and knew what they were acquiring. The only reason the luck comes into play is because no one expected the prices to do what they're doing. And I've said it before, if anyone tells you that they knew exactly 100% what the market was going to do, I'm just going to tell you right now, they were lying. We all believed that the market eventually over time was going to trend up. No one expected what it was going to do right now. And I said that before. If I knew that, there was a lot of cheap cards out there 5-6 years ago that I would have just literally filled up a tractor trailer truck with and, been sitting real pretty right now. But that's not the case. But what I'm trying to get at is those people with the large collections, they didn't just acquire them overnight. And I have seen a lot of that recently. I have seen a lot of people going at this hobby so hard because they're almost playing a game of catch-up. And you don't want to play catch-up in this hobby because you're trying to catch up with people who have acquired their collections over years. It's not like it was just we came in one day and we flipped light switches and we had what our collections are now today. It didn't work like that. Some of these sets I only bought a few packs for because I couldn't afford the packs. There were times where I would buy only the chase cards or the set, and sometimes they weren't even the high dollar amount chase cards. They were just what I considered the chase card because at the same time, I was still collecting cards that I enjoyed, cards that I wanted to have, cards that, meant something to me. I've said it in other videos. I wish I just freaking bought every Charizard, but I'm not a Charizard fan. So they never really were interesting to me. But again, my collection didn't just appear overnight. It took a long time, and it wasn't easy too, If you broke down just the man hours that I put into my collection over the years, I don't know what that would really equate to, even at the very lowest minimum wage possible. But, given enough time, it has been extremely beneficial for me. And, from just a monetary aspect, it's been one of the greatest things to ever happen to me in my life. And there were opportunities that I missed out. And there was opportunities where I took advantage of real good deals. And in the long run, I'm sitting where I'm at today. But all I'm trying to do in this video is really express to newer collectors or people that are returning to the hobby that it's okay to feel, left behind a little bit. Because trust me, I look at people with super large collections and I'm like, like, wow, my collection, something that I'm very proud of, doesn't hold anything compared to theirs. But that doesn't bother me. I mean, it's okay to be cognizant of other people's collections versus yours. But at the end of the day, like, at least be happy in it. But understand that it is a slow, methodical race for a lot of this stuff. And I understand there's a lot of people in this hobby right now for maybe the get rich and the quick dollar and the quick flip. And I think there is room for that. I've always thought there was room for that. It just depended on what what you thought was a lot of money. You can go back in this hobby and there was always cards that you can flip for a couple dollars. Now the problem is that the cards have just increased so far in value that now people just want to start flipping them for hundreds to thousands of dollars. But it's not new in the hobby. It's just more, I don't know, call it mainstream because the dollar amounts are just drastically different. But the thought process, or to break it down to its core, it's always been there. It's always been the same. I feel maybe some people have strayed away a little bit more from their collecting and they have gone more to the investing. But I think this hobby does have the ability to have a combination of both. If you don't think that there's going to be highs and lows to this hobby, you probably shouldn't be in this hobby. To really be in this hobby and be successful, especially in the long term, really, you gotta be looking at like 5-year timelines minimum. Yeah, there's plenty of room for the day-to-day stuff or the year-to-year, month-to-month, or set-to-set, or however you want to play. Yeah, you can play that game and it's fun. We all do it a little bit. We all like to dabble in it. But at the end of the day, when you sit back and you really look at where the true growth was, where the true explosive growth was, it's really in, that 5-year timeline. Because you'll see a lot of stuff creep up slowly. And then eventually, like, there's always a make or break point for a lot of different products. And I say 5 years, and as I'm talking, I'm thinking about this. I didn't really have anything planned for this video, but as I'm thinking back, 5 years ago does bring us to 2016, and look at all the stuff in 2016. All these sets, generations and evolutions. These sets 5 years later are all doing very well. Maybe that 5-year lead up was a little bumpy. It wasn't super smooth. It wasn't like an easy way to get here. And then you can go back for a lot of different stuff, guys. Especially, oh man, sealed black and white, sealed diamond and pearl stuff. I mean, good for you. Good for you if you have a bunch of sealed product of this stuff, especially booster boxes and packs and collection boxes. Hey, good for you. You were way ahead of the game for a lot of this stuff. Or if you went back to all the WotC stuff and you got booster boxes for nothing, packs, base set packs when they were, $100 or less, good for you. You made out. And especially if you had sealed booster boxes and stuff, you could pick up sealed booster boxes, $3,000-$4,000 for a lot of these base set unlimited stuff. Look at what that's doing right now. Just, insane. But given enough time, stuff will go up. So I just need you to know out there if this is your plan, that you really are working with a very small window of this hobby. And it is very easy to see the very recent growth we've seen in this hobby. And if you're not familiar with any of the past of the hobby, it's very easy to just look at the near term or the very short term and think that this is the norm. But it's not the norm. But with that said, if you are slow and steady and you do get smarter in this hobby and you are in this for the long run, that 5-year timeline, I think you're going to do amazing in a lot of stuff. I think we will have a lot of people in this hobby who are only in it for the near term, only have very extreme short-term memories, and they're going to get real beat up in this hobby. And they're going to be the ones that, you know, I hate to use the word fail, but they're going to be the ones that are left really hurting. They're going to be the ones that, you know, are going to talk about Pokemon being a bubble, and it won't be a bubble. Pokemon, even if prices crash tomorrow, Pokemon's not going away. Like, understand, in the long term, everything eventually will creep back up. It's not like we're just going to see, oh, this huge run up in 2021, a huge crash in 2022, and that's it. You know, Pokemon puts the for sale sign on the front of their building and says, well, it was fun, guys. It's been a fun, 25, 26 years at that point, 26 years. It's been fun. Let's close up doors and walk away. No, that's not going to happen. So it's going to be the people with that slow and steady mindset are going to make out in the long run. But if you're going to be in it for the long term, my best advice is don't keep looking back. I know it's easy. I do it a lot. I keep looking back. I keep looking at the what ifs and the opportunities I missed, or the cards I sold at real low prices that I wish I had still today. And that's coming from somebody who I believe overall I'm in this hobby for the long term, and I think my collection speaks for itself when I say I'm in the long term. But at the same time, like, I still have the wheels turning, keeping things in motion. I have product coming in, I have product going out, because at the end of the day, I do rely very heavily on selling in order to buy a lot of the stuff I have. You know, a lot of my collection selling has made it much easier to buy, and made it easier to buy way more of modern stuff. I think that's why I have gotten, I've dived a little bit deeper into modern than I'm usually comfortable with. So I'll get a few booster boxes opposed to just one to hold, one to break. I have been able to expand just because of the cards I'm selling, and I recommend for you guys to do that too. The way I look at it with my collection, for a majority of it, I can't say for 100% because that would just be a straight up lie, but for the majority of it, I consider my collection 100% paid for, meaning the money that I've made out of my collection has offset almost 100% of the cost to acquire all of it. And, you can't, when I said it earlier in the video, no, I can't put a price to my time and how much work it took to acquire the collection over time, and, list stuff and send stuff away for grading and crack stuff and, sleeve it and sort it and but that's all fun, like, I talk about that stuff like my time is valuable, but it's fun too. Like, I wouldn't be in this hobby if I didn't enjoy, like, me and my buddy, we always make the joke. We call it never ending sorting, because, like, at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. And it's funny, like, you go back and you look at cards that I sorted in the past. Like, now I'm rifling through, like, stuff I considered bulk in the past before, and I'm resorting all over again because stuff isn't bulk anymore. Stuff has, gained in value, and it's pretty nice when you have, I wouldn't even call them quadruplicates, when you have 20 plus of a card that's worth, $10 to $15 a piece. And at one point you would have valued it at, I don't know, maybe a dime. Like, that's an amazing feeling. And, some of the real large returns percentage wise has come from a lot of this, like, bulk. Sure, you can go ahead and you can buy a real expensive, let's just throw out a arbitrary number, $1,000 PSA 10 card, and in 3 years from now you could sell it for $2,000. You made 100% gain. What's the gain from the card that used to be 10 cents that's now worth $10? What's that percentage gain? Like, where did I make out better in that sense? But hey, that's just part of this hobby. And if you are slow and steady and you are in it for the long term, eventually everyone will get to this point and you're going to be better off. And this is going to bring us probably to the end of the video. I just want to really, like, hammer down the point. slow and steady in this hobby. You can't really lose. Yeah, you could do the fast pace, try to play catch up, but it's going to hurt you in the long run. The best way to go about it is slow and steady. Don't worry about anyone else. Worry about you, because at the end of the day, you're what's most important. This hobby is fun. This hobby is very rewarding. Don't let this hobby get the best of you. Don't let other collectors get the best of you. Don't let other people get the best of you. You control your own destiny in this hobby. And, your future is bright. And it's going to be an amazing ride. And, I'm so happy to be a part of this ride with so many of you guys. But anyways, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you've made it this far in the video and you're still not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. But other than that, hit that like button. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.